Have you ever noticed how something as simple as sitting down can feel a little different as you get older? Maybe when you were younger you could flop into a chair without a second thought, twist your legs any way you liked, or spring right back up without even using your hands. But now, after 65, you might feel your knees complain, your lower back twinge, or your balance wobble just a bit as you ease yourself down. It can be frustrating, even surprising, to realize that something so ordinary, something you've done thousands of times in your life, can suddenly become a challenge. But here's the truth most people never think about. The chair you sit in every day may actually be one of the most dangerous things in your home. Not because it's broken or unstable, but because the way it's designed and the way we use it can quietly put stress on our joints, weaken our muscles, and even increase the risk of falls. The chair, a symbol of rest and comfort, can turn into a silent enemy of your independence if you don't learn how to work with it. I know that might sound dramatic. After all, a chair is just a chair, right? But when you think about how much time we spend sitting, eating, watching TV, reading, chatting on the phone, it adds up to hours every single day. And every one of those hours affects your circulation, your posture, your bones, and your balance. Doctors and physical therapists often say that sitting is the new smoking. And while that may be a little exaggerated, it carries a warning that is especially important after retirement age. Let's picture a familiar scene. You've just finished lunch, you walk into the living room, and you sink into your favorite recliner. It's soft, it's cushioned, and it seems to welcome you with open arms. But what happens next? You sit for an hour, maybe two, without shifting much. Your spine curves into the cushions, your hips settle lower than your knees, and when it's finally time to get up, you notice how heavy your body feels, how stiff your legs are, and how much effort it takes just to stand. That recliner, though comfortable, has been quietly sapping your strength, locking your joints, and making each movement harder than it should be. Or maybe you're more of a kitchen table person. You prefer sitting in a straight-backed dining chair, maybe with a cushion on it. At first, it feels supportive, but after a while, your back starts to ache, your shoulders slump forward, and your feet dangle just slightly because the chair isn't quite the right height. Before you know it, you're shifting and fidgeting, trying to relieve the pressure, only to realize that you've been straining your spine without even noticing. And then there are the low couches, the ones that feel like sinking into a cloud. Lovely at first, but when you try to get up, it's almost like climbing a hill from the bottom. You push your hands against the cushions, your arms tremble, and sometimes you even have to rock forward to gather enough momentum to rise. That little struggle may not seem like a big deal today, but every time it happens, your muscles are being reminded that they're weaker than they used to be. If you don't pay attention, that weakness builds until one day, getting up without help might not be possible at all. This is why we're talking today about something most people overlook, the most dangerous chair in your house. It isn't dangerous because it will collapse or break. It's dangerous because it slowly undermines your independence, steals away your strength, and increases your chances of a serious fall. But here's the good news: with a few small changes in how you sit, how you rise, and even the chairs you choose, you can turn that hidden danger into a tool for better health. Now let's talk about why chairs affect us so much more after 65 than they did when we were younger. Our muscles naturally lose strength as we age, a process called sarcopenia. The thighs, hips, and core muscles, those that help us sit down and stand up, are often the first to weaken. At the same time, joints like the knees and hips may become stiff from arthritis or wear and tear. Balance also becomes trickier because our reflexes slow down. Put all of that together and suddenly something as ordinary as sitting in a chair can feel like a workout. Think back to the last time you got up from a chair and felt a little off balance. Maybe you had to grab the table for support or pause for a moment before walking. That's your body sending you a message. It's struggling to transition smoothly from sitting to standing, and those moments are exactly when many falls happen. Not outside on icy sidewalks, not on staircases, but in the comfort of your own living room. So how can we make sitting safer? Let's begin with one of the simplest but most overlooked adjustments: chair height. The ideal chair should allow your knees to bend at about 90 degrees, with your feet flat on the floor. If the chair is too low, like many sofas and recliners, your hips sink below your knees, and this makes it much harder to push yourself up, and it puts stress on your lower back. If the chair is too high, your feet may dangle, which strains your thighs and reduces circulation. That's why choosing the right chair, or adjusting the one you already have with firm cushions or a small footrest, can make such a difference. Another key factor is support. Chairs that are too soft may feel nice for a few minutes, but they encourage slouching, which strains your spine and weakens your core muscles over time. On the other hand, a firm, supportive chair helps keep your posture upright, your chest open, and your breathing easier. It may not feel as luxurious at first, but your body will thank you in the long run. Now let's talk about how you actually sit down. Many people, without even realizing it, simply drop into their chair. They let gravity do the work, collapsing onto the seat with a thud. That might not be a big deal when you're 25, but after 65, it can jar your spine, stress your joints, and even throw you off balance. A safer, healthier way is to approach the chair slowly, place your legs so you feel stable, and lower yourself down with control, using your thigh muscles. This small change not only protects your joints, but also strengthens your legs every single time you sit. Think of it like a built-in exercise you can practice dozens of times a day, and when it's time to get up, the way you move is just as important. Instead of pushing yourself straight up from the back of the chair, try scooting forward first, planting your feet firmly on the floor, leaning slightly forward from the hips, and then pressing through your legs to stand. If you need extra support, place your hands on the armrests, but avoid pulling on nearby tables or furniture, which may tip over. Again, this may feel like a small detail, but it can mean the difference between a safe transition and a dangerous stumble. I know this may sound like a lot to think about, but with practice, these safer sitting habits become second nature. And the best part is they turn everyday movements into opportunities to build strength. Every time you sit down and stand up with control, you're essentially doing a mini squat, keeping your muscles active without even setting foot in a gym. Before we move further, let's pause for a moment and think about your own home. Which chair do you spend the most time in? Is it supportive, or is it one of those soft, low recliners that swallows you whole? Do you ever notice yourself struggling to get up or feeling stiff after sitting for a while? Becoming aware of these little details is the first step toward making changes that will keep you independent and confident in your movements, because here's something important to remember. Your chair should serve you, not the other way around. It should make your life easier, not harder. It should give you rest, not pain. And once you understand how chairs affect your body, you can take control, adjust your habits, and avoid the hidden dangers that catch so many people by surprise. When we left off, we were talking about how something as ordinary as chair height and posture can change the way your body feels every day. But there's another piece of this puzzle that we can't ignore, and it's something most people only notice when it's already causing problems. The amount of time you spend sitting in the first place. Think about your daily routine for a moment. From the time you wake up until the time you go to bed, how many hours do you spend in a chair? Breakfast at the table, maybe an hour. Watching television, another 2 or 3. Reading the newspaper, doing crossword puzzles, chatting on the phone, all of these activities often happen while sitting, and when you add it all up, it can easily reach 7, 8 or even 10 hours in a single day. The trouble is, our bodies were never designed for that kind of stillness. Muscles are meant to move, joints are meant to bend and stretch, and the heart works better when blood is circulating freely. Sitting for too long slows everything down. The circulation in your legs weakens, which can lead to swelling, stiffness, or even dangerous clots. Your spine takes on unnatural curves, pressing on nerves that cause pain or numbness. And because you're not using your muscles, they slowly shrink, making each movement more tiring than it should be. You may have noticed that after a long period of sitting, standing up feels harder than usual. Your legs feel heavy, your back resists straightening, and sometimes you even feel a little dizzy when you take your first step. That's your body reminding you that stillness is not its friend. And while a young person can bounce back quickly, the older we get, the more those hours of sitting take a toll. But here's the encouraging part. You don't have to throw away your chairs or spend your whole day pacing the house. Small breaks sprinkled throughout the day can transform sitting from a danger into something safe. Doctors often recommend what they call the 20-minute rule. For every 20 minutes of sitting, spend at least 1 or 2 minutes standing, stretching, or walking around. You don't need to do jumping jacks or run a marathon. Just stand up, roll your shoulders, march in place, or take a quick stroll to the kitchen for a glass of water. These little interruptions wake up your muscles, boost circulation, and give your joints the movement they crave. Now let's circle back to the chair itself. Some chairs almost encourage us to sit longer than we should. Have you ever noticed that once you sink into a recliner, it's easy to lose track of time? Hours pass, and before you know it, you've been still for the whole afternoon. Recliners and overstuffed sofas, while comfortable, can make it tempting to stay put, and that's where the danger grows. Compare that to a firmer chair, where you naturally shift and move more often, reminding your body that it's time for a change. Another hidden danger comes from the way many chairs are designed for convenience rather than health. Low couches and soft recliners may feel cozy, but because they don't support your body properly, you end up slouching. Your head leans forward, your shoulders round, and your chest collapses inward. That posture not only strains your back, but also compresses your lungs, making breathing shallower. Over time, this can sap your energy, reduce your endurance, and even affect your mood. It's amazing how much posture influences not just our body, but also how we feel inside. Some people notice that after sitting slouched for a long time, they feel foggy, tired, or even anxious. That isn't just in your imagination. Poor posture reduces oxygen flow and makes your body feel stressed. On the other hand, sitting upright with your feet planted and your chest open can literally help you feel calmer, more alert, and more confident. It's like telling your body, I'm ready, I'm strong, I'm steady. Now let's talk about balance, because that's where the danger of chairs often shows up most dramatically. For many older adults, the most dangerous moment isn't while sitting, it's the split second of standing up. Picture this. You've been watching TV, you reach for the remote, and then you push yourself up a little too quickly. Suddenly the room tilts, your knees wobble, and for a frightening second, you're not sure if you'll catch yourself. That's how so many falls happen, not from clumsy mistakes, but from the body being unprepared. So how can you protect yourself in that moment? One key step is to move slowly and deliberately. Before standing, take a deep breath. Scoot toward the edge of your chair, plant your feet firmly and lean forward slightly. Pause for a second to let your blood pressure adjust before rising. This 1-second pause can prevent the dizziness that often leads to stumbling, and when you stand, push through your legs instead of pulling on furniture nearby. That simple change can give you much more stability and control. Let me share a little story to illustrate this. A woman named Margaret, who was 72, told her doctor that she kept feeling dizzy whenever she stood up from her recliner. She worried something was seriously wrong with her heart. But after a few simple tests, the doctor explained that the issue wasn't her heart at all. It was the way she was standing. Margaret had developed the habit of pushing herself up too fast without giving her body time to adjust. Once she learned to pause, plant her feet, and breathe before rising, the dizziness vanished. It wasn't medication she needed, it was a small change in how she moved. Stories like Margaret's remind us that the dangers of chairs aren't always obvious. They sneak in through habits, through little moments we overlook. But the solutions can be surprisingly simple. And once you learn them, you carry them with you for life. Now here's something many people never think about. The way you sit and stand can actually be used as a test of your overall health. Doctors sometimes use what's called the sit-to-stand test, where they measure how many times a person can sit down and stand up in 30 seconds. It's not about speed or competition, it's about strength, balance, and endurance. People who struggle with the test often have weaker leg muscles and are at higher risk for falls. The good news is that by practicing controlled sitting and standing every day, you can improve your score, strengthen your body, and reduce your risk of losing independence. That's why I like to encourage people to think of every chair in their house as a little piece of exercise equipment. Instead of dreading the effort of standing up, treat it as a chance to keep your legs strong. If you approach it with that mindset, your chair transforms from a danger into a tool. You're not just sitting, you're training your body, keeping it ready for all the things you still want to do. And here's another thing to keep in mind. The kind of chair you choose can either make life easier or harder, depending on your needs. For example, chairs with sturdy armrests give you something safe to push against, making standing easier and steadier. Chairs without armrests may look stylish, but they offer no support when you need it most. Likewise, seats with firm cushions and upright backs help you maintain good posture, while sagging seats leave you sinking, straining, and struggling. It's worth taking a walk through your own home and looking at your chairs with fresh eyes. That sofa you love, does it make standing up feel like climbing a mountain? That armchair in the corner, does it swallow you whole, leaving you stiff after half an hour? If so, maybe it's time to adjust them with firmer cushions, add a sturdy side table for support, or even swap them for chairs that treat your body better. Because in the long run, the right chair isn't just about comfort, it's about freedom, independence, and peace of mind. One last point before we move forward: never underestimate the role of shoes in this equation. Even inside the house, what you wear on your feet can change how safe or unsafe a chair feels. Slippery socks or flimsy slippers can make standing from a chair risky. Supportive shoes with good grip, even indoors, give you the stability you need. Think of them as part of your chair safety plan. A firm chair, safe posture, and steady shoes. That's a trio that can protect you more than you realize. By now, you can probably see how something as ordinary as a chair can carry hidden risks if we don't give it the attention it deserves. But beyond posture and the way we move, there's another layer to this story: the kind of chairs we choose to live with every day. Each chair tells a different story about our habits, and some of those stories can be dangerous if we don't notice them. Take, for instance, those soft, low couches that many of us love. They look inviting, they feel luxurious, and they practically beg you to curl up and stay a while. But that comfort comes with a price. When you sink into a couch like that, your hips dip far below your knees, your spine curves like a C, and standing up feels like wrestling your way out of quicksand. It's not that you shouldn't enjoy your couch, it's that you should recognize it as a challenge. Every time you sit there, you're putting your legs back and balance to the test. If your body isn't up for that challenge, what once felt like comfort can quietly chip away at your independence. Recliners fall into a similar trap. Many people call their recliner the best seat in the house, and for good reason. It cradles you, lets you lean back, and even puts your feet up. But staying in that reclined position for too long can make your core muscles switch off. They stop working because the chair is doing all the holding for you. And when muscles switch off, they weaken. A recliner is wonderful for a nap or a short rest, but when it becomes your main place to sit, it starts doing something dangerous. It trains your body to give up strength instead of build it. Then there are dining chairs, the kind we use every day for meals. At first glance, they seem safe, straight-backed, firm, and practical, but many of them are designed for looks rather than comfort. If they're too high, your feet dangle and circulation suffers. If they're too low, your knees end up higher than your hips. And if the seat is too deep, you're forced to lean forward just to reach the table, which strains your back and shoulders. It's a quiet reminder that safe doesn't always mean healthy. Even something as ordinary as a dining chair needs to be measured against your body, not just your furniture set. What about stools or backless benches? They can be fine for short bursts of time, like playing cards or chatting with family. But without back support, your spine tires quickly. You start slumping without noticing, and that slump can linger even after you stand. That's why chairs with supportive backs and sturdy arms are more than just comfortable, they're protective. They remind your body of good posture and give you stable places to grip when you rise. And sometimes the most dangerous chair isn't the one in the living room or at the table, it's the one you use at your desk or computer. Hours of leaning forward, craning your neck and Resting your wrists in awkward positions can create aches that spread through your whole body. Stiff necks, sore shoulders, tingling fingers, all of these can come from a poorly designed desk chair. And once those aches set in, they don't just disappear when you stand up, they follow you into the rest of your day. So what can we do? The first step is awareness, knowing which chairs in your home are helping you and which ones are holding you back. The second step is small adjustments. You don't need to throw out every piece of furniture. Sometimes just adding a cushion to raise the seat height or a pillow behind your back for support makes a world of difference. Even placing a sturdy footrest under a high chair can turn it from harmful to helpful. These little changes don't cost much, but they can save you from years of strain. And here's where we come to one of the most important truths. Sitting itself isn't the enemy. How you sit, how you rise, and how long you stay put, that's what matters. Every chair can either be your ally or your adversary, depending on how you use it. That's empowering because it means you don't need to fear your furniture. You just need to learn how to make it work for you. One way to think about this is to treat every sit-down as practice. Imagine that each time you lower yourself into a chair, you're training your legs, your balance, and your focus. And each time you stand, you're proving to yourself that your body is still strong, still capable. If you approach sitting with that mindset, it stops being passive and starts becoming active. Instead of draining you, it builds you. I once spoke with an older gentleman named Harold. He was 75 and had started avoiding his favorite armchair because he was embarrassed by how hard it had become to get out of it. He thought the problem was weakness, that his body had already given up. But with a little coaching, Harold began treating that armchair like exercise equipment. Each time he sat down, he did it slowly and controlled, and each time he stood, he focused on using his legs rather than his arms. Within weeks, what had once felt like a struggle started feeling like strength. The chair didn't change, but his mindset did. And that shift gave him back a sense of power he thought he had lost. That's really the heart of this conversation, reclaiming control. Too often, aging feels like a process of losing things, losing speed, losing strength, losing ease. But in reality, there are so many ways to take back what feels lost, simply by being intentional. A chair doesn't have to trap you. It can be your partner in keeping your body active, your posture proud, and your independence intact. And let's not forget the emotional side of all this. A safe, supportive chair isn't just about preventing falls or avoiding aches. It's about confidence. When you know you can sit and stand without fear, you're more likely to stay active, to join friends at the table, to sit in the garden, to enjoy the little moments of daily life. On the other hand, when a chair feels like a challenge, you might start withdrawing, avoiding outings, skipping visits, even staying in bed longer, just to sidestep the discomfort. That kind of avoidance can quietly steal your joy, but once you fix the problem, once you feel steady and strong again, your world opens back up. So as you look around your own home, don't just see chairs as furniture. See them as opportunities. Each one can either weigh you down or lift you up. It all depends on how you choose to use it. And the good news is you hold the power to decide. Now that we've seen how different kinds of chairs affect your body, let's go a step further and focus on the how. Because while choosing the right chair makes a huge difference, the way you actually sit in it and rise from it can be even more powerful. These little daily movements may seem simple, but they hold the key to keeping your independence strong. Let's start with sitting down. Most of us do this automatically, without a thought. We walk toward a chair, turn, and drop into it. But that drop is where the danger hides. Collapsing into a chair may strain your back, jar your hips, and rob your legs of the chance to stay strong. Instead, imagine sitting as an intentional movement, like a slow, controlled dance. Here's a trick. As you approach your chair, turn until the backs of your legs just touch the edge of the seat. Place your feet about hip-width apart and plant them firmly on the floor. Then hinge slightly forward at your hips, keeping your chest open. Slowly bend your knees and lower yourself down until you feel the seat beneath you. Use your legs to control the movement, not just gravity. This tiny adjustment protects your joints and strengthens your muscles every single time. And here's something important to remember. If you have armrests, don't rely on them too soon. Try lowering yourself with your legs first, using your hands only lightly for balance. That way, your legs get the work they need, while your arms serve as backup instead of the main engine. Think of it as practicing strength training hidden inside your everyday routine. Now let's flip it around and talk about standing up. This is often the hardest part, especially if the chair is low or soft. The key here is to set yourself up for success before you even attempt to rise. Scoot forward until you're sitting on the edge of the chair. Place your feet firmly under your knees, not too far in front of you. Lean forward slightly from the hips so your nose is almost over your toes. That position shifts your weight forward. From there, press down through your legs and rise with control. If you need to, push gently against the armrests, but avoid pulling on nearby tables or flimsy furniture. Some people find it helpful to pause for just a second once they've leaned forward before pushing up. This gives your body time to adjust and prevents dizziness. That moment of patience may be the difference between a smooth stand and a dangerous stumble. And once you're upright, give yourself another second to find balance before you take your first step. Think of it as moving with dignity, not rushing. It might sound like a lot of steps, but once you practice this method a few times, it becomes second nature. And the more deliberate you are, the stronger your muscles grow, making each movement easier over time. Now let's bring in a little exercise disguised as daily life. One of the simplest and most effective ways to maintain strength after 65 is to turn sitting and standing into a form of exercise. Here's how. Once or twice a day, pick a safe, sturdy chair. Sit down and stand up repeatedly, maybe 5 to 10 times in a row. Move slowly and with control, keeping your feet planted and your chest open. This sit-to-stand exercise builds leg strength, improves balance, and even boosts your confidence. And the best part? You don't need equipment, a gym, or even special clothes. Just a chair, your body, and a little patience. I once met a man named Robert who started doing this simple routine at 70. At first, he could barely manage 3 sit-to-stands before he felt exhausted, but he kept at it, day after day, adding 1 more repetition each week. A few months later, he was doing 10 with ease. He told me that when he bent down to pick something up from the floor, he no longer felt afraid of getting stuck down there. That's the power of small, consistent practice, turning a chair from a threat into a training partner. Another simple tip is to practice shifting your weight while seated. While sitting upright in your chair, place both feet firmly on the floor, then lift one foot slightly off the ground for a few seconds and switch to the other. It may not feel like much, but this trains your balance and engages your core muscles. Over time, these little movements help your body stay steady during bigger transitions like standing or walking. And don't forget the importance of stretching. After sitting for more than half an hour, take a moment to extend your legs, roll your ankles, or reach your arms overhead. These small stretches wake up your circulation, loosen stiff joints, and remind your body that it's built to move. Even lifting your heels up and down like you're pressing on a gas pedal helps pump blood back up through your legs. Think of it as oiling the gears that keep you running smoothly. But let's go beyond the physical mechanics for a moment and talk about mindset, because sitting safely isn't just about avoiding falls, it's about feeling in control of your body. Too often, people over 65 start to lose confidence. They fear falling, so they move less. But the less they move, the weaker they become, and the weaker they become, the more they fear falling. It's a vicious cycle. Breaking that cycle starts with reclaiming the small movements like sitting and standing. Each time you sit with control, each time you rise with strength, you're proving to yourself that you're capable, that confidence builds, and with it comes a greater willingness to stay active, to go out, to enjoy life without hesitation. And here's a simple way to remind yourself: celebrate the effort, not just the result. Even if you wobble a little, even if it feels hard, give yourself credit for practicing. Every attempt is a step forward. Aging doesn't mean giving up. It means adapting, learning, and continuing to push forward in the ways that matter most. Let's not overlook the role of your environment either. Chairs are part of it, but so is the space around them. Is there enough light in the room where you usually sit? Dim lighting makes it harder to see where your feet are, increasing the risk of tripping. Is there clutter nearby, like magazines, rugs, or electrical cords? Clearing those hazards gives you a safe path to stand and walk. Sometimes it's not the chair itself that causes trouble, it's the things surrounding it. And think about the surfaces your chairs rest on. A chair placed on a thick rug may shift or wobble, while one on a slick floor might slide when you least expect it. If you've ever tried to sit and felt the chair move beneath you, you know how unsettling that can be. Placing rubber pads under chair legs or choosing chairs with sturdy bases can eliminate that risk. Safety isn't just about what's above the floor, it's about what's happening right under it. Finally, let's talk about habits. The truth is, the safest chair in the world won't help if you spend 10 hours a day in it without moving. The most supportive armchair won't protect you if you flop into it without care. It's the habits you build, small, daily, intentional choices, that make the difference. Choosing to sit with control, choosing to stand with purpose, choosing to stretch and move often, these are the real protectors of your health. Your chair is not the enemy. It's a teacher, a reminder, even a partner. It teaches patience when you rise slowly, strength when you push through your legs, balance when you hold yourself steady, and awareness when you pay attention to posture. When you look at it this way, your chair becomes less of a threat and more of an ally in your journey to stay strong, safe, and independent. By now, you've probably realized that a chair is never just a chair. It can either be a trap that chips away at your strength or a tool that helps you stay steady, confident, and free. But the real difference isn't only in the furniture, it's in how you approach it, how you move with it, and how you allow it to shape your daily habits. I want you to think about what independence really means at this stage of life. For many people, it's not about grand adventures or breaking records. It's about the everyday freedoms we sometimes take for granted. The ability to get up without help, to walk into the kitchen for a snack, to sit in the garden and enjoy a cup of tea, to stand at the stove and cook your favorite meal. These small acts are the building blocks of dignity, and a chair can either protect them or steal them away. One of the most powerful things you can do for yourself is to practice awareness. Every time you sit, every time you stand, notice how your body feels. Do your knees ache? Does your back resist? Do you feel unsteady? Instead of brushing those signals aside, treat them as useful information. They're not signs of weakness. They're reminders of where your body needs support and attention. When you start listening to those signals, you gain the power to make changes before a small challenge turns into a bigger problem. For example, if you notice that standing up feels harder from your recliner than from your dining chair, that's a clue. Maybe you limit your recliner time and spend more hours in the chair that supports you better. If you notice your back aching after sitting at the computer, maybe it's time for a cushion behind your lower spine or a footrest to keep your knees at the right angle. These aren't dramatic changes, they're small adjustments that add up to big differences. And remember this, every small improvement you make today is an investment in your tomorrow. Each controlled sight, each careful stand, each stretch or leg lift is like a deposit into your independence bank. Over time, those deposits grow, and they give you the strength to do the things you love without relying on others. I think of a woman I once knew named Clara. At 78, she started avoiding visits to her daughter's home because she was embarrassed. Her daughter had a low, soft sofa, and Clara hated the way she struggled to stand up from it. She felt clumsy, fragile, and old, but with some encouragement, she began practicing sit-to-stand exercises at home. Within a couple of months, she not only felt stronger but also gained back her confidence. The next time she visited her daughter, she sat on that sofa proudly and stood up without hesitation. The look of relief on her face said everything. It wasn't about the sofa. It was about reclaiming the freedom to live without fear. Stories like Clara's show that change is possible at any age. Your chair can become a challenge, yes, but it can also become an opportunity. And when you meet that challenge head-on, you don't just build strength, you build confidence, you build courage, you build the kind of independence that keeps life joyful and full. So let's bring this all together. What does it mean to sit safely after 65? It means choosing chairs that support you instead of sinking you. It means moving with intention, lowering yourself with care, rising with strength, and pausing for balance. It means listening to your body's signals and adjusting your environment to make it safer. It means turning ordinary moments like watching TV or eating dinner into opportunities to train your body instead of weaken it. And perhaps most importantly, it means shifting your mindset. Instead of seeing sitting as a passive act, see it as a chance to take control. Instead of viewing your chair as a danger, view it as a teacher. Instead of feeling defeated by the struggles, feel empowered by the small victories. Each time you stand taller, steadier, and more confident than before. You don't need fancy equipment, a gym membership, or hours of training. You just need awareness, intention, and the willingness to practice. Your chair is already there, waiting for you. The choice is yours. Will it be a silent thief of your strength, or will it be the quiet partner that helps you keep moving forward? So the next time you sit down, pause for a moment, plant your feet, lift your chest, lower yourself with care, and when you rise, do it with purpose, with strength, with pride. Celebrate the effort, because that effort is what keeps you strong. That effort is what keeps you safe. That effort is what keeps you free. And remember, you are not alone on this journey. Thousands of people your age are discovering the same truth, that the little things matter most and that small changes can bring back confidence you thought was gone. You are part of that story, part of that movement, part of the proof that independence doesn't vanish with age. It grows stronger when you nurture it. If you take only one thing away from this conversation, let it be this. Never underestimate the power of everyday actions. Your chair isn't the enemy. Your body isn't failing you. You have the tools, the strength, and the courage to keep yourself safe, steady, and strong. And with each small step, each intentional sit, each careful stand, you're writing a story of resilience, one that says, I'm still capable, I am still independent, I am still me. So here's to you, to your strength, your dignity, and your freedom. May every chair in your home remind you not of danger, but of the strength you hold inside. And may you sit and rise each day with the confidence that you are living fully, safely, and beautifully at every age. As we bring this conversation to a close, I want to leave you not only with information, but with a sense of hope and a plan you can carry into your daily life. Because knowledge alone isn't enough. It's the little actions you take day after day that create real change. Let's talk about routines. Think about how often you use your chair throughout the day: morning coffee, lunch at the table, an afternoon rest, dinner, a bit of television before bed. Each of those moments is a chance to practice safer, stronger sitting. Instead of letting them pass unnoticed, treat them like tiny opportunities to care for yourself. Imagine starting your morning with a little ritual. Before you even take your first sip of coffee, you sit down and stand up 5 times in a row from your kitchen chair, slowly and with control. It doesn't take more than a minute, but it wakes up your muscles, boosts circulation, and sets the tone for your day. Later, when you sit to read or watch TV, you remind yourself to adjust your posture, planting your feet flat, lifting your chest, and keeping your back supported. In the evening, before bed, you repeat another round of sit-to-stand exercises, this time treating it like a gentle reminder to your body. I am still strong, I am still steady, I am still in control. These routines may feel small, but they add up. 5 sit-to-stands 3 times a day is 15 little strength builders daily. Over a month, that's nearly 500. Over a year, more than 5,000. Imagine how much stronger, more confident, and more independent you'll feel after 5,000 repetitions. That's the power of consistency. Of course, no one's life is perfect, and there will be days when you're tired, stiff, or simply not in the mood, and that's okay. What matters isn't perfection, it's persistence. Even on those days, try to do just 1 or 2 repetitions. Celebrate what you can do, rather than focusing on what you can't. Progress doesn't come from grand leaps. It comes from small steps, repeated with patience and love for yourself. Now let's add another layer: breathing. You may not realize it, but how you breathe when you sit and stand makes a difference. As you lower yourself into a chair, inhale slowly through your nose. As you rise, exhale through your mouth, pressing the air out as if you're blowing through a straw. This rhythm helps stabilize your core, keeps your movements controlled, and calms your nervous system. It turns an ordinary sit-to-stand into a mindful practice that strengthens not just your body, but also your focus and peace of mind. And let's not forget the role of your surroundings. We've already talked about clearing clutter and ensuring good lighting, but there's another piece to consider: variety. Sitting in the same chair, in the same position, for hours on end is hard on your body, so mix it up. Use different chairs throughout the day. Spend some time at the dining table, some in a supportive armchair, some outside on the porch, if the weather allows. Variety keeps your body from stiffening in one position and gives different muscles a chance to engage. I want to share one more story because stories remind us that we're not alone. A man named Gerald, in his early 80s, loved reading mystery novels. His favourite spot was a deep armchair by the window where he'd spend whole afternoons lost in a book. But over time, he noticed it was getting harder and harder to get up from that chair. One day, he actually slipped trying to rise and gave himself a nasty bruise. That moment scared him. He thought maybe it meant the end of his independence. But instead of giving up, Gerald made changes. He placed a firm cushion under him to raise the seat height. He practiced sit-to-stands every morning, using a sturdy dining chair. He rearranged his space so he had a small table with solid edges next to his armchair, giving him safe support if he needed it. Within weeks, his strength improved, his confidence returned, and he went back to enjoying his mysteries without fear. What once felt like a defeat became a victory. Gerald's story isn't unusual. It's proof that change is possible at any stage of life. The body is remarkably adaptable even in our 70s, 80s and beyond. Muscles can still grow stronger, balance can still improve, independence can still be protected. All it takes is awareness, intention, and steady practice. And that brings me to one last truth I want you to hold on to. You are capable of more than you think. Too often, the story of aging is told as a story of decline, of loss, of shrinking possibilities. But that's not the only story. There's another one, a truer one, that says aging is also about wisdom, resilience, and learning to move through life with grace. Yes, challenges come, but each challenge is also a chance to grow stronger, to adapt, to prove to yourself that you are still here, still able, still full of life. Your chair may seem small in the grand picture of things, but it holds enormous power. Because if you can master the simple act of sitting safely and rising confidently, you've mastered something at the very core of daily living. From that foundation, everything else, walking, cooking, gardening, traveling, playing with grandchildren, becomes easier, safer, and more joyful. So as we close, I invite you to do something right now. Stand up from your chair slowly. Plant your feet firmly, lift your chest, breathe out as you rise. Feel the strength in your legs, the steadiness in your balance, the pride in your effort. Hold that feeling. That's your independence. That's your dignity. That's your life, and it's worth protecting. And when you sit back down, do it with the same care. Slow, controlled, deliberate. Not because you're weak, but because you are strong enough to choose intention over habit. That choice is what keeps you safe. That choice is what keeps you free. Remember, age doesn't take away your power. It simply asks you to use it wisely. And with every safe sit, every confident stand, every intentional breath, you're showing yourself and the world that your power is still alive and well. So here's my message to you. Don't fear your chair. Master it. Use it. Let it remind you every day that strength is not gone, that independence is not lost, and that your life is still full of movement, dignity, and possibility. Because at the end of the day, the most dangerous chair in your house isn't the recliner or the couch or the dining seat. The most dangerous chair is the one you give up on, the one you let control you, the one you stop challenging yourself to rise from. But the safest chair, the most empowering chair, is the one you face with intention, strength, and courage. So go ahead, sit tall, stand proud, live fully, And let every chair in your home remind you that you are still strong, still capable, and still beautifully, wonderfully alive.